Why don't your boyfriend commit? By that, why doesn't he propose so that you both of you could start a secure family, even though you may be going out or may have been going out for donkey years? Well, we looked at a couple of the reasons why men are not too willing to commit or pop the questions, maybe not too sure, maybe fear. And in this video, we're going to explore a couple more reasons. Maybe they're not ready. They may not be ready financially. And you have to understand that a man's masculinity, and in many cases, his ego is tied up with his capability and capacity to be able to provide for a family. And if he doesn't have the wherewithal, if he doesn't have the finance, if he doesn't have a house or a home, or if he cannot afford rent or mortgage, then it would be difficult for him to see himself committing to that prospect, even though you probably can support yourself financially, even though you might be making more than he is, even though you might be financially secure. Men tend to shy away from a major commitment where at least he is not able to bring something to the table. He may not be emotionally secure either. Maybe he doesn't feel mentally ready to be able to handle that kind of challenge of being in a relationship. Along with that, some men view weddings as just a big bother. It's very expensive, it's bothersome, it's just one big project, and they just don't see what's the big fuss. Much ado about nothing. I myself, when I was getting married, I just didn't want to be involved in the many little bits and bobs, and I just wanted to show up and get it over and done with. But left to me, I would have just gone down to the registry and done it without the big white wedding that my fiance at the time wanted. So some men can't be bothered, just find the whole process expensive and a waste of money and time, and they just don't want to get involved with that kind of thing. And because of that, they hold back from the prospect of having to cough up money for that, and then needing more money to buy a house or settle down or rent. And even though you might be living together at this point in time, it's something that he probably doesn't see as required and necessary. Some men maybe have current issues in their lives. They might be studying, maybe they're not secure in their job, maybe they are maybe they're a carer for their parent, or maybe some issue is probably going on in that man's life that he doesn't feel ready to commit to a relationship, that he doesn't have the energy for, the time for, or he doesn't want to divert or divest his attention with. So maybe he needs space and time, and maybe you need to understand that there are other priorities in his life other than committing to a relationship. And probably some men are just comfortable where they are. The current situation is nice and cozy, and like they say, why buy the cow when the milk is free? That's a very age-old term that you might hear from time to time. Right now, everything is cozy. He's getting what he wants. He's getting all his needs met, socially, emotionally, and probably even financially, and sexually. Everything is in place. And if that is the case, why bother? Why strap yourself with the trimmings of signing a legal contract that would be so much more expensive than the current situation? So some men are just simply comfortable with the status quo. Now, there are some men who they love you. They eventually want to get married to you, but will do it in his own time. You know, he's not in any big rush. Why? What's the rush? He thinks, you know, I am here for the long run. I'm not going any place. So just chill out, cool out, and I'm ready. I'll pop the question and we'll do it on my own time schedule. Some people, some men are just going along. They go along to get along. Maybe the opportunity to get into a relationship was just there. You were available. You probably even offered yourself, and he didn't have the gumption to say no. You presented yourself there, and he's just in the relationship because you say that you love him, and he didn't have the necessary courage to say no, and he acquiesced to the situation, and he doesn't see any reason why he should up the ante. In fact, he may even be thinking about how can he get out of this situation. And honestly, there are some men who literally don't know how to. They don't have the foggiest idea of what do they do. How do they go about this issue of proposing? What should they get a ring? What type of a ring? How much the ring should cost? Should they have a party and then announce it? Do they do it in the middle of the street? Do they do it in the privacy of the home? What would you think? What if you reject him? These are all different questions that maybe go through a man's mind and confuses him. And as a result, when he has that kind of confusion going through his mind, he just simply stalls and put it off. He might be very terrified of the process and don't know what to do. And he can't communicate his confusion to you because he doesn't want to be belittled and be known as someone who should know and don't know. He doesn't want to be a romantic illiterate. And there may be negative influences in his life. His friends may not like you, and they might be applying pressure on him and perhaps in some ways ridiculing him for going out with someone like you, particularly if they are female friends who are jealous of you. They might have an agenda to warn him not to get too involved or not to take the relationship any further. There might be family, you know, his parents may not think highly of you. You may not seem to be good enough for him, or maybe his sisters don't particularly care about you, and they may be applying some negative form of pressure on him. So he's caught between a divide allegiance between his family, his friends, and you. And as a result, this confusion causes him not to move the relationship forward and to just sit in a state of romantic quagmire, where he doesn't move the relationship forward, but he doesn't want to lose you either.